Alright, summer is here, the sun is out, and my July TBR gonna be epic. I have Dragon Wars, I have Magical Rebellion, and I even have a fantasy series that finally got a treatment from Brandon Sanderson. Two chunky reads, one satisfying series finale, and I even have a little bit of mysterious read, which I'll talk about it later. Hi guys, this is Dan. Welcome back to my channel and huge welcome if you're new here. And if you are a returning viewer, I have a wildcard pick that's gonna tie into a secret project that I have been working on behind the scene. I'll give you guys a little bit of sneak peek, so stick around and see if you can guess what I'm up to. As usual, let's start with my main quest, books from my 2025 reading plan. First of all, I should have The Gathering Storm by Robert Jordan and Brandon Sanderson. Finally, we reached this point of the series where Robert Jordan sadly passed away while working on it, so the rest of it is finished by Brandon Sanderson. It is such a bittersweet news because I always adore Robert Jordan and what he put into this series, and I mean, who doesn't want to finish the work by himself? On the other hand, Brandon Sanderson is possibly the biggest fantasy author in modern days, so I'm curious to see his take or his influence on this series. Would it be obvious to see so? Basically, all you need to remember is the wheel weaves as the wheel wills. All the event in one age has been repeated across time, and only the Tafan is powerful enough to influence the pattern. And not Knife of Dreams, but The Gathering Storm marks the beginning of the final arc of this series. It is known for its tighter pacing and the emotional intensity. Now, I'm not too scared to pick this series up again because I mean we have gone through the slump of this series, Crossroads of Twilight. You can really see the improvement in Knife of Dreams. And in The Gathering Storm, the Dragon Reborn, Rand, needs to prepare for the final battle called Tamagaidon. And from all the viewings that have been mentioned before, we know that Egwene needs to prepare for a battle as well. In Knife of Dreams, quite a lot of the subplot has been concluded, so I'm curious to see what other characters, let's say Perrine or Elaine, gonna be up to. And if we're going to have Matt in The Gathering Storm, I'm really excited to read his plot because that quest gonna be interesting. The other book I have for my 2025 reading plan is Kingdom of Bones by Philip C. Quaintrell, the fifth book of the Echoes saga. I am really excited to start this book because the last book is really good and you can really see the improvement of the author in terms of the character work. If you haven't heard about the Echoes saga before, it is a self-published epic fantasy series that focus on the good old battle between good and evil. It is known for its intricate world building and plenty of all-you-can-eat actions. I'm reading the fifth book of this series, but at the same time, it is also the second book of the second series. So I don't think I can really say too much at this point. All you need to know is this series is explosive. From the beginning of the second trilogy, which is the last book, we know that the evil one has been plotting for years and he has been gathering an evil force. They are swarming further this world right now. If you don't know, this is further. In here, we're actually going to follow different POVs. First of all, we have a dragon, a dragon master. He sensed the end of the third age and swore an oath to protect this realm. Even as powerful as a dragon rider, they were pushed into a corner, desperately fighting against the evil one. Finally, we dive into the politics of the dwarves, which is something that is missing in the first trilogy. That can bring in some new characters and very interesting character dynamic. I honestly can't wait to jump back to this world. It is a very fast-paced yet epic read. Alright, after the main quest, of course we need to pick up the side one. I have a new release that I want to read. If I finish this one, I can take off another fantasy trilogy. And this book is The Sorrow of the Sea by Stephen Aryan, the third book of the Ninkango and the Falcon trilogy. I'm actually holding the second book of this series because me haven't ordered the third book yet, which reminds me I have to do so right now, maybe after filming this video. It is a relatively shorter historical fantasy that is inspired by the Mongolian invasion to Persia in the 30th century during the Yuan Mongolian ruling. What's so interesting about this series is that we're gonna follow the conflict between the Mongolian camp and the Persian rebel, but we are going to follow the POVs from both sides. So it is just so fun to see how each side wanna outsmart each other. Also, this book is a historical fantasy, meaning that it is inspired by what had really happened in real life. But Stephen Aryan injected it with some magical fantasy element, which makes the event slightly more unpredictable. We have been following POVs like the Mongolian Khan's son Temujin, Mongolian princess turned into an assassin called Kokochin, and even a Persian rebel called Coffin. I guess in the final installment, we're gonna see which side gonna win. Can the Mongolian take over Persia or can the rebel liberate their home? What I love about this series is it is shorter. The writing is so easy to follow, the plot is really interesting and developed quite a lot since the second book. Same goes to the character, they have all grown. And I mean, with this length, if you want to try out historical fantasy but you are intimidated by the size, this trilogy is perfect for you. If you are a regular here, you will already notice something is missing on this TBR. It is a tradition here. I would like to clear subscription books as soon as I got them, but I never mentioned it yet because I have already DNF the Rift War Saga by Raymond E. Feist, and it is the current subscription trilogy from the Broken Binding Fantasy sub. I won't talk about it too much here, and if you want a more in-depth review of this book, just wait for my June's TBR, which gonna be up by the end of the month. All you need to know at this point is I couldn't finish this book. I think I'm more or less 60% into it, and I just can't get through it. It is such a boring read. To be very precise here, 80s fantasy and me just don't gel well together. The pacing is just too slow for my taste. There are some smoke about the future of certain characters hidden in certain chapters, but there are just too many unnecessary details in one chapter, which makes it so hard to read. I will still receive the next two books in this series from the Broken Binding because at this point I can cancel it. Think about it positively, I can find some more entertaining reads in the next 2 months. Quite an ambitious list, right? And honestly, when I look at this epic fantasy series, I also think about the practicality of fitting them into my life. Speaking of life, for those of you who have been following me long enough, you will know that in every month's TBR, I'll share a quick glimpse of what my life gonna be like outside of reading. So let's quickly chat about my July's life update and how it might affect my reading progress. July is basically another busy month. Like I said in my June's TBR, I'll be away by the end of June and also the beginning of July. The first week of July is actually the celebration of my birthday, so possibly I won't do any reading because party! Also, I'll have a weekend off, and if you don't know me, I mainly read during the weekend, so I'm not too sure how that's gonna affect my reading. So that is the reason why in this month's TBR, you will see I only pick two chunkier books, The Wheel of Time and The Echo Saga, and they are series that I desperately need to finish. That is also the reason why I pick up a slightly shorter fantasy book, The Sorrow of the Sea. And I also want to listen more to audiobook. I have done so with the Throne of Glass series by Sarah J. Maas. It was okay because that was a YA series, so there's not too many details that you need to keep up with. But what I'm thinking here is to listen to epic fantasy series. Logically, they are more complex, more complicated with more details. And I'm still learning to balance between listening and focusing to an audiobook while doing whatever I'm doing. So that is pretty much what's going on in July. Okay, here comes the wild card. If you don't know, I have been working on a secret project. Don't worry, it is still about reading. But I just want to keep it as a surprise and I won't say too much here. But I will be generous here to show you the beautiful edges of the books that I am going to read. Can you guess who they are just by looking at the spray edge? You can share your answer in the comment below. And you just need to wait until early July to find out the answer. It shouldn't be too difficult for you, right? So that covers my ambitious reading plan for July. along with a little bit of sneak peek of what my life gonna be outside of these pages. It is going to be a busy month, but I am quite determined to finish quite a lot of these epic stories. Now it is your turn. What's on your July TBR? Are we going to read some same books, or is there any series recommendation that you want to give to me? Feel free to share all your thoughts in the comment below. So if you enjoyed this video, don't forget to give it a like, subscribe to my channel Dynasty so you won't miss anything from me. I'll see you all real soon. Goodbye.